I've gotten some concerns from businessmen, and especially when it comes to the construction sector on St. Martin. So my questions to the Prime Minister are all relating to the trust fund, monies that each St. Martiner has to pay back in the form of taxes eventually, and what is happening with these monies. Okay, so according to the budget, the Sustaining Program Effectiveness and Advancing Resilience, the SPARE, which is financed by the Trust Fund, aims to improve the institutional capacity and effectiveness of the NRPB and the public administration of St. Martin, so that the project results are sustained after the closure of the St. Martin Trust Fund. The project consists of two components. The objective of the component, one, is to improve the effectiveness of the NRPB operations, and that the remaining projects financed by the Trust Fund can be successfully completed before the official closure date. This component finances agreed operational expenditures for the implementation, management, and monitoring of the Trust Fund projects. Component 2 focuses on the strengthening government institutions and systems. A total of 23 million has been allocated for this project, approximately 20 for component 1 and 3 million for component 2, over a 5-year span, and 17 million from the Trust Fund broke, so 6 from government St. Martin and 17 from the Trust Fund, to be broken down over 5 million per year per component. Question: what exactly is the money geared towards? Personnel, to improve NRPB, and how specifically is this? Number 2, I would like an update on what has been done regarding the unfair bidding practices of the NRPB with the awarding of contracts to the Chinese contractors. Has this company been exempted from TOT, from payments to SZV? Because as far as I understood, these companies are coming with their own insurance. How many work permits were granted for this company? Did this contractor contribute to the NEPA via the SOS policy established under my fellow colleague MP Otley? How does the NRPB ensure alignment with the National Recovery and Resilience Plan, the NRRP, particularly the focus on supporting the local workforce and the economy? And Madam Chair Lady, I hope it is understood what is actually happening. A Chinese company that places a bid on a project on St. Martin that is funded partially by St. Martin and the Trust Fund, that does not pay any taxes. Most probably this company will also bring the materials from China, so the vendors here, our local vendors of materials, will definitely not get a piece of that pie, which in return means that we are not going to collect the TOT on those, is a problem to me. Can a minister confirm if the local contractors are being sidelined in favor of foreign companies, specifically subsidized Chinese contractors, and explain how this aligns with the goals of the Trust Fund? Why was there a second bidding round for the Smart Shelter project initiated by PAHO, when local contractors had already submitted their bids since January 2024? What measures are in place to ensure transparency and fairness in the bidding process, particularly when foreign contractors are involved? Why were local contractors not informed about the status of their initial bids for the Smart Shelter project despite repeated inquiries? And I could understand how they feel asking questions over and over and over and not getting any replies. But it is somewhat frustrating. Is the NRPB taking into account the long-term economic impact on St. Martin's local construction industry when awarding contracts to foreign entities? What is the government doing to mitigate the potential loss of revenue and employment for local contractors and suppliers if subsidized foreign contractors dominate the market? Right now, there's a company that has to send home 40+ employees that was working on a hospital because a Chinese company came in. That sounds like problems to me, Madam Chair Lady. Like how we say it here, something wrong.
How has the government addressed relief for the people of St. Martin regarding GB issues in the budget 2025? Despite previous assurances, GB continues to experience power losses and cuts, even during critical periods like the holiday season. What immediate measures are being taken to address the disruption and ensure reliable service? What long-term strategies are being implemented to improve GB's infrastructure and financial stability? Prime Minister, through you, Madam Chair, the Minister of General Affairs is one of the highest, or is the highest portfolio in our government apparatus. I would like the Prime Minister to give a definition of what his portfolio as Prime Minister, Minister of General Affairs entails. Because it is generally commented upon that the Prime Minister, through you, Madam Chair, is in every minister's portfolio, and we are not in a crisis situation. Madam Chair, through you, I would also like to know, does the water tank located in the Kupakoi area that's across from Sapphire, does it have water in that water tank to supply for the lowlands area? Through you, Madam Chair, I would also like the Prime Minister to give an answer as to what function does the VDSM, the Secret Service of St. Martin, what function do they have when it comes to investigating or doing an antecedenten onderzoek on a candidate for a vertrouwensfunctie? What is the function of the VDSM when it comes to investigations on a candidate for a vertrouwensfunctie? While we're at it, Madam Chair, through you, I would like to know what is the situation with the SG position of General Affairs that is currently vacant and when it will be filled. Because I can recall, before taking office, a new SG was appointed, and I don't think it's even a year, or it's probably a year. I would like to know, through you, Madam Chair, Prime Minister, can you please as we know that you have high-profile individuals that is currently in your cabinet that was also the former SG, I would like to know if the SG that is no longer there, what is the reason why the position became vacant in such a short period? Because the notions that go around, and I would not like it to be so, that there is victimization on its highest degree. I would like clarifications and answers, again, as to why the SG is not there. Prime Minister, I just got elected. I was also part of Luke Mercelina Cabinet #1. There's a lot of things I probably missed out when it came to the Council of Ministers meetings, as I was a working minister that hit the ground running. However, when it comes to stability of a country, which I would like to sit in this seat for 4 years, if there's continuation of meddling by the Prime Minister in other portfolios, we will probably see another election again. Prime Minister, through you, Madam Chair, I would like you to take caution. As I sit here as a member of Parliament in the highest body in this country, and that is also responsible to make sure that every minister, including the Prime Minister, is held accountable for their actions in the Council of Ministers. With that said, I rest my case here.
Are you SXM insured? Do you have a valid medical insurance status? SXM is cardless. Request your My SXM account today and enter the virtual office of SXM. Go to sxv.sx and sign up now.
SXM, yeah. Your social and health insurances.
Madam Chair, I'd like to first off publicly thank you for a letter that was sent on behalf of Parliament requesting the government to basically take our questioning serious. I told you yesterday in private, and I'll tell you here in public, Madam Chair, that that was a true representation of not just coalition, but of Parliament.
Thank you.
And I thank you for that, due to the fact that many of my colleagues are complaining about lack of responses. And when I hear comments from my previous MP stating that a comment was made in press briefing when Parliament gets serious, it kind of adds up together as to why we don't get response, because we are not taken seriously. But maybe a motion of no confidence would change that. Madam Chair, as it pertains to the budget and it reflecting 95% of the previous government, I would tend to almost agree with my previous MP that we can just go to voting because it'd be kind of hard to vote against a budget that your government has established. But the 5% is very critical. And I warned against this in the budget 2024 amendment. I said we cannot just take the CAPEX from 2024 and shift it to 2025 as if it's guaranteed. And through you, Madam Chair, I asked the Honorable Minister of Finance if it's guaranteed, and she stated no. And this is what I'm saying. So when you reflect now, in the 2024 amendment, it was stated, for instance, Charlotte Brookson, the high school, would move to 2025 CAPEX. The new phase 1 of KB project, finally addressing KB, would move to 2025 CAPEX. Land purchasing of 18.2 million would move to 2025 CAPEX. This includes home projects. This includes cemetery purchasing, expansion. We have basically limited capacity to almost none right now for burial. Thank God we do cremations, but at the end of the day, life will always continue. And we are at a crossroads right now with capacity and land. I say this through you, Madam Chair, to the Honorable Prime Minister, as my answers in the 2025 budget, when I asked specifically for budget revenue or revenue generating projects, it was stated by the Honorable Prime Minister, this is a budget amendment. The revenue generating projects will be in 2025 budget. Now we're in 2025 budget, and this is a line taken directly from the budget. No new initiatives and revenue enhancing initiative will ensure that the surplus for both years remain limited. The 2025 draft budget only considers initiatives that started in 2024 and will be taken to 2025. Hence my reasoning, Madam Chair, I say be very cognizant of your answers because you don't know when it's going to come back to bite you in the butt. Now we are 2025 budget, and I'm seeing that. What is being said, and I'm glad it was mentioned, is that we're looking at the November swearing-in date. But the Honorable Prime Minister has been there for 7 months. And I often say this, with no initiatives, it shows a lack of vision. A lack of vision to move this country forward. Because when I listen to any report, anything negative comes from the previous government. But anything positive that is continuing, there's pictures and press releases. Example, ability to obtain CAPEX. That wasn't done in about 11 years, previous government. We have the airport. Pictures were taken, celebrated, previous government. Hospital finally on the move. Carnival Village. Health levy is one of the main revenue generating products for this government, presented by the previous government. Cannabis, moving forward, previous government. Pension, gladly announced. When I was there, we put it as a moot, which means it must increase yearly. You're welcome. We have mental health. Marketplace, we saw the groundbreaking. We can go on and on and on. Hence the reason now, I kind of understand why you would want to continue our budget straight through. I would too. Madam Chair, through you, I see there's an uproar at the airport. And I'll ask this question to the Honorable Prime Minister. A lot of reports are saying the Minister of TEAT, asking the Minister of TEAT, but I know how the CALM is situated right now with shareholders and representatives. And the Prime Minister, I would ask, what is your sentiment to the uproar with the CEO selection or pre-announcement of a CEO selection at the airport? Also, what is the update with the placement of the Cs, the management of GEBE? It's about time we start to shift from this temporary management when a whole assessment was done. I don't understand, through you, Madam Chair, what is the hold up at this moment? What is the update with Telem and the CEO, the CFO? What is the update with placing the director? Is the contract for Mr. Dupasoy up? And who will replace, or is that process started? When we go through you, Madam Chair, to capital investments, what is the 50,000 Gilla increase for new investments by SG of AZ? Please provide an update on the agreement between the Netherlands and St. Martin as it pertains to the 75.6 million Gillas. Is there a draft? Is the Minister of Rummy involved in these discussions? Also, I would like to know the amount spent for specifically the Minister of Azat's cabinet for travel for 2024. I would like to know that, Madam Chair. You see, Madam Chair, I had a similar question to my colleague, MP Lewis, as it pertains to the Minister of General Affairs. His face is popping up at the hospital. His face is popping up in meetings with the police. His face is popping up at every other ministry. But what I'm lacking is AZ. I'm lacking the real responsibility. Not just to come and tell us we have to take loans, but tell us where we can have access to additional funding. We just came back from the Netherlands, Madam Chair, and in the discussions, there were different avenues where the islands can obtain funding. That is what I need to hear from the Honorable Prime Minister, where we can obtain grants. I have seen my colleague MP right next to me dialogue with various MPs to try to get us grants. That is what I need to see in my Prime Minister, because regardless of what, you are my Prime Minister. That's regardless of what.
Your social and health insurance is your social and health insurances.
Are you SXV insured? Do you have a valid medical insurance status? SXV is cardless. Request your My SXV account today and enter the virtual office of SXV. Go to sxv.sx and sign up now.
Your social and health insurances.
Tears flowed freely at Thuderbridge St. Michael this afternoon, where 50-year-old Sergeant Antonio Rochester was involved in a collision with a truck. Police Public Affairs and Communications Officer Inspector Rodney Innes says the incident, which is being treated as a road traffic fatality, was reported to lawmen around 1:50 p.m.
What was reported was a motor truck, has struck a pedestrian and struck a wall to the western side of Thuderbridge Road. And that vehicle continued traveling. We are yet to investigate how far, but a fair distance. Now, that pedestrian turned out to be one of our own, Sergeant 897 Antonio Rochester, who lives within the area. He lives about 200 meters from here.
Inspector Innes says police are now looking for the driver of the truck.
Who could have done such a horrific task?
And police are appealing to eyewitnesses to come forward.
We understand there were several persons along the roadway, And feel free to contact us at 211, or you can call 430-7100, or the Black Rock Police Station at 417-7500. Any information you can have pertaining to this matter.
He says the service extends condolences to the relatives and friends of the officer who committed 31 years of service to the law enforcement agency.
Antonio is a joyous sergeant of police. He was attached to the Marine Department. Over here you see his family, his wife, his 2 children, his mother, his father. They're all together to support each other. And we have several police officers who are visibly shaken. And that's as much as I can give you at this stage. As you can understand, we still have our work to do. We have closed the road to do the investigation.
Innes says police officers and the Sergeant Rochester's immediate relatives received counseling. Anesta Henry, CBC News.
Over 3,500 Barbadians and visitors arrived home earlier today to take part in this year's We Gathering celebrations. Chief Product Development Officer of the Barbados Tourism Marketing Inc., Marsha Allen, says there is a lot of chatter about returning to the island within the source markets. And she says with a number of second and third generation Barbadians returning, We Gathering 2025 is expected to be a massive celebration.
We know that the number one reason why Barbados is such a pull factor for so many visitors throughout the world is the Barbadian people. And we want to ensure that we continue to celebrate the Barbadian people, and so they'll be very much into the mix and be in whole four of We Gathering 2025. There are a number of activities that we're putting together to ensure that the Barbadian people are captured, that the Barbadian people are celebrated, and that there's economic empowerment through all of the communities. And so it's really important that we ensure that the number one product on our island, the Barbadian people, are celebrated as we go through this year of We Gathering 2025.
Nicole McCrae, who is returning home for 5 days after spending 10 years in New York, says she is excited and will be enjoying the activities in St. Michael.
It is great when I get off the plane, hear the music, feel the warmth. It was amazing. Know what I'm missing. Think I'm coming back for crop over.
Everest Springer, who is in from Ontario, Canada, started returning home in 2020 after retiring. He will spend the next 3 months here with his wife.
Barbadians are unique in that they were always English affected, always very proud of the literacy, which I've always liked. So my alma mater here is the Lodge School. I went to Lodge when I was a teenager. So there's really nothing about the island that I don't like. And I feel at home here, I feel welcome here, even though I was born here, even though the island has changed dramatically from my early days.
And Amy Morris, who left Barbados in 1969, who hails from Cleavers Hill, St. Joseph, says there is no place like home. She says she intends to savor Bajan delicacies and attend the weekly queue in the community.
I'll be here for a month, definitely. Yes, there's no place like home. You guys don't know how great it is when you leave it for so many years. Just leave it, period, and return, Wow, I'm so happy.
All visitors were treated to Bajan sweet treats, and We Gathering rum punch by mixologist Shane McLean on exiting the arrivals hall. Rachel Agard, CBC News.